Okay, so for my final discovery project, I decided to go along with the new media concept and compare sport highlight videos from 1980s, both in the NBA and the NFL, and compare it to the 1990s. And then from there, I added and applied a filter to an edit that I've done recently. And from there, so a couple things that I considered a part of that filter and analyzing the 90s and 80s were one, the aspect ratio of the playback. So the ratio back then was a 4:3, and I crunched it up into a 1080 by 810 pixels. That way there's a lot of quality damage or just degrade, because I shoot in 4K, so I need to essentially just trash the quality. But when I dug into the edits, so first starting with the NFL season highlights, so in the 1980s, we can see that the frames are very, very blurred. There's hardly any focus, it's just poor resolution. But back then, this was top prime television content. And just video. So we see very little saturation, but that's to be expected. And then similarly, you know what I mean. NBA in the 80s, we have a very flat surface with very little saturation, but we have good lighting in that sense, and we have a good capture. And then jumping into the 90s, we start to get a little bit of resolution going, and then a little bit of color back, but we still have that grainy noise, low quality look. Similarly, in the NBA, same look. But the NBA channel, about a year ago, they did this throwback episode, and here we see a little transition from the 90s moving into the 2000s, late 90s moving into 2000s, with this little pop art and edit style. And as I move through here, we could see how the 90s interviews and stage lighting can be seen here. This is a more modern one with Steve Kerr, but let's see if I can scrub through it. So this was huge also in the 90s, was this type of graphic and animation. But really in terms of film quality, we could see much better than the 80s. And then leading into the 2000s, this also becomes another style of graphics, transitioning from the 90s into the 2000s. And then in terms of color, I also applied a little bit of highlight glow that we see in the 1980s with Pete Rose. This is more a photo though, rather than a video. So tying it all together and making the edit out of the filter for the video, I used the glow that the photographer for the Pete Rose used, but then also I decreased the saturation to match more the 1980s. However, we can see the transition between the 80s into the 90s with the better resolution of content and better video work, and really just tying it together by using different styles of photographers and video during the time and bringing it into the modern sets. With other ado, here is my edit.
Designs Bank Stadium for the boys lacrosse state championship. We've got 1 versus 2.
Feels like we were born to be champions. We were born
so we had an extra fire lit on